Welcome to episode 6 of the Future of Healthcare podcast. Hello, once again here at the Future of Healthcare podcast. As always, I'm your host, Nathan Dollinger. Now, before we hop into the episode, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has left a 5-star review on iTunes. Don't forget, if you leave a review on iTunes before the beginning of September, you will be entered to win one of two $50 Amazon gift cards. So now on this episode of the Future Healthcare, I got to sit down with Josh Newton, who is actually the Health and Wellness Director at Kirby Medical Center and CrossFit KMC. CrossFit KMC is actually one of the first CrossFit affiliates to be built on a medical campus. That allows them to have this unique relationship with the medical center there that helps build a community rooted in fitness, wellness, and health. Josh and I dig real deep into some of the problems that we see with our current healthcare system and how CrossFit and CrossFit KMC in particular is a good example of how to move our healthcare system from a prescriptive type of medicine to a preventative type of medicine, or as I've heard it once, move from sick care to actual healthcare. I do want to note that this episode was actually filmed, so you can find it on our website at wearethefuturehealthcare.com, or if you're watching on a smartphone, if you just click the show art, there'll be a link there at the top so you can go right to the video. Now let's just jump into it. Without any further ado, here is Josh Newton. Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm here with Josh Newton, who is the Health and Wellness Director here at Kirby Medical Center, CrossFit KMC. Josh, thanks for being with us today.
Nathan, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think let's just start off by, do you want to introduce yourself, kind of your background before you came here to Kirby?
So I'm the Health and Wellness Director here at Kirby Medical, and kind of my background is really kind of always been centered in healthcare. And, I've got a family that's in healthcare. They've been nurses for 25 plus years. I've been kind of involved. I was in pre-PT before I decided to go into, more of an exercise science focused degree. I really wanted to be a strength and conditioning coach right out of college. I was kind of looking to get into the collegiate setting with that, and really just kind of stumbled upon CrossFit and stumbled upon CrossFit in a healthcare organization. I was playing football at the time, and coming up on my senior year, and my strength coach said, "Hey, there's this thing out there that I want you to try. It's called CrossFit." And he gave me the name of a website, and I went and checked it out. And I can remember my wife and I in my garage, the first workout I ever did in CrossFit was a gymnastics workout called Barbara. And it involves pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, and air squats. You do 20 pull-ups, which at the time I didn't have a pull-up bar, so I was doing them out of the rafters in my garage. So hanging onto a 2x4, doing 20 pull-ups, 30 football push-ups, right? You kind of go halfway down, halfway up. Yeah. So not really getting, very good range of motion. Mm-hmm. I was doing 40 sit-ups with my feet together. My wife was holding my feet laughing at me. And then I was doing 50 air squats, but I was doing them to a milk crate to, make sure that I was getting low enough. Yeah. And so you rest for 3 minutes at the end of each round, and you repeat that for a total of 5 rounds. And I can remember it took me almost an hour to do this. And I'm like, man, I'm a football player. Mm-hmm. I'm strong. I'm fast. Why can't I do this simple bodyweight stuff? And, I was hooked ever since then. And so kind of got involved with CrossFit that way, and got involved personally just doing it on my own in my garage for a while. And still going to school at the time, still in college, and just kind of stumbled upon a CrossFit affiliate. There was a hospital in town that had a sports enhancement center, and I was a young guy looking for a job, and I walked in one day and said, "Hey, heard you guys were starting a CrossFit, affiliate out here. Can I help? I've been doing CrossFit on my own." And the CEO of the hospital came down and interviewed me same day, and they hired me within a week. And that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. I've been working in sports enhancement centers and CrossFit affiliates that have been associated with hospitals ever since. And it's just been a really cool environment. And kind of the progression of just working in a CrossFit affiliate to now moving into more of the health and wellness side of the house in a healthcare setting has been really fun.
One thing that I found interesting about your story and kind of how you got here, it's similar to a lot of us who get into a health field. It's from a background of whether it be sports or athletics, something that was the original motivation when we were younger. like what effect did being involved in football and athletics have on kind of your decisions as you were going through that journey to where you are now?
Just in general, just life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played sports my whole life. You know, grew up playing baseball, basketball, football from, junior high on, and football kind of became my bread and butter. I mean, that was my sport, it was my jam. I mean, I loved football, loved playing football, and went on to play collegiately for a little while. And I mean, I've always just been involved in sports and really anything, outdoors or active. I grew up in North Louisiana. So a lot of hunting, a lot of fishing, a lot of things outdoors. I mean, you don't come inside until mom and dad tell you, it's time, to come inside. But you're basically outside all the time, and you're just active. And that's kind of the lifestyle that I grew up with, and I'm so thankful for it now, because it's kind of carried over to my, adult life. And I think that's really carried over to kind of my passion for CrossFit and for sport, in general. Yeah.
And then for those who are watching, can you describe to us where we're sitting right now?
Yeah, so we're sitting inside of CrossFit KMC. It's a CrossFit affiliate that's associated with Kirby Medical Center, which we're on the campus right now. And in fact, the ambulance garage is probably 50 feet from us here, and then we have the emergency department probably 100 yards from us, and we've got patients that are 100 yards from us. So we're pretty fortunate. It's a pretty unique situation to be here on a hospital campus. Yeah. But it's pretty cool.
And that was one of the things that, because I like CrossFit on Facebook or something, shared a video about your guys' new facility when it was first opening. And I was like, this is amazing having like a facility like this right on a campus, where as I was driving up, we were talking earlier how as I was driving up, there were nurses on the track that surrounds the whole campus. There were people outside the facility flipping tires, and it was like lunchtime. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So it is pretty unique. Our health and wellness department really ties in a lot of what we do at CrossFit with what we do with our employee wellness. And so, you saw the wellness trail as a mile-long, paved-out, 10-foot wide trail that travels around the entire campus. And so, employees can come out during the day and they can walk and they can, exercise, or some people ride their bike or they rollerblade. I don't know. Do people still rollerblade? I think some people come out and do that type of thing. But it's and then our CrossFit members and people who frequent us out here, they go and they obviously run out there. We have our runs and stuff mapped out, 200s, 400s, 800s, and obviously we have the mile. And then when you pulled in today, our workout of the day was tire flips and sled drags. So you saw everybody out there in the grass, getting after it today. But it's a pretty unique setup that we have here for sure.
So how did this relationship with CrossFit KMC and Kirby Medical Center kind of come to be? Yeah. Obviously a decision was made at one point to build it on the same campus. Yeah. So what was kind of the origins of that? So
it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was working at another CrossFit affiliate that was associated with a hospital about 35 minutes from here, and they came in one day and they said, hey, there's a healthcare executive that's coming in to learn more about this CrossFit thing. Can you talk to him? I said, sure, and so I took him through my normal, this is what CrossFit is, this is what we do here, he had never heard about CrossFit before, he didn't really know, and so I kind of took him through my quote-unquote presentation of, CrossFit, and at the end of my presentation, I said, I can sit here and talk to you all day about what CrossFit is, but let's try it, all right, let's do something, let's get you moving a little bit. And so I had him do a very simple movement, right, a burpee. Yeah. And everybody knows what a burpee is, right? And except for him, he didn't know at the time. And I said, well, let's do 25 burpees for time, and let's see, take as many breaks as you need to. You can rest. And I will never forget that day. Just the look in his face and the heavy breathing and the 25 burpees for time was really tough for him. And I think he went back and kind of reevaluated his health and oh my gosh, I need to do something. That was really challenging and it shouldn't have been that tough. And anyway, he joined, he became a member with me where I was at the time, and started CrossFit and started exercising and saw his health improve dramatically. and turns out he was the chief executive officer of Kirby Medical Center. And so there was an opening in 2016. So yeah, it's been about 16 or 17 months now for a health and wellness director position. And, you know, I had a very close relationship with Steve Tenhouse, that's his name. And so they brought me on board here, and they decided to start their very own CrossFit affiliate here, CrossFit KMC. And so, yeah, kind of helped launch that here on campus, and it's just been a really fun and unique opportunity. So
yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place for everybody. I mean, everybody's watching can see it. So if you guys are just listening, I encourage you guys to go check it out. But why? Because, I mean, I've seen a lot of hospitals sponsor different healthcare facilities and things like that, but why is CrossFit a good fit to be partnered with a hospital in the relationship that you guys have?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, there's a lot of employee wellness initiatives. There's a lot of healthcare initiatives out there that are designed to, you know, make people healthier, and a lot of them are failing because they're and I think the reason why they're failing is because there's not a community aspect to it like there is with CrossFit. CrossFit is so effective. I mean, it's an you know, phenomenal exercise program. If you're looking for, you know, and look, CrossFit can be a sport, you know, and some people kind of choose to pursue it as a sport, and some people choose it to just improve their general overall fitness. So they choose it as their, you know, GPP program. And you know, it's proven to be a really great GPP program, but the thing that makes it so effective is the community aspect of it. You know, people have, you know, accountability. They have people that when they come to their certain class or whatever, they're, you know, meeting with these people, and it's almost like a shared suffering type of deal. When you're in a group, you know, your rate of perceived exertion is a lot less than when you're just doing it by yourself. And I think that the encouragement that you get from the coaches, the culture that's kind of developed within a CrossFit community, and then just the, you know, I mean, obviously the workouts are tough and they're challenging and they're fun, and you know, they kind of keep you coming. It's kind of addictive a little bit. I think that's why CrossFit has seen such great success, especially here on our hospital campus, is because, you know, of those things. I mean, we have a great community. We have a great culture here that's really centered around health and, you know, making people better. And, man, we have some just awesome coaches as well. So
you were kind of, as you were answering that, you were kind of referencing it, but what, for a lot of listeners who aren't totally aware what CrossFit is, I know there are some bad connotations to it for different reasons for people who aren't totally aware about it, but what is kind of the history and the origin of how did CrossFit come to be and like the philosophy behind it?
I always think it's funny when people talk about how CrossFit's so bad and it's so dangerous, right? And it gets you hurt. I think that's pretty much, you know, quote unquote, the haters, right? I mean, that's, you know, and I'm not really going to get into all that because, you know, CrossFit really doesn't need defending. You know, it's a proven program. You know, it's a phenomenal exercise program that really is no more dangerous than, you know, I mean, look at the alternative. You know, sitting around, you know, getting chronic disease, being overweight. I mean, those things are way more dangerous than coming in here and exercising and sweating a little bit. And, you know, I mean, so CrossFit kind of got its start. Greg Glassman's the founder and CEO of CrossFit, and he basically said that, you know, everybody was exercising wrong and just wanted to do things a little bit different and kind of push back on the status quo. So CrossFit is it's, you know, constantly varied functional movement, and you perform that at a high intensity. So constantly varied could be, you know, yeah, we're always doing something a little bit different. The variance piece can come in time domains, you know, so some workouts are 2 minutes, some workouts are 15 to 20 minutes. It could come with a loading, so some weights are light, moderate, and some weights are heavy. You know, and there's a lot of variance to our program, you know, especially with the movements that we do and the scalability of the program. And that's really, you know, awesome for a lot of people, and that's why they find it, you know, effective. And you know, we do functional movement. Things are going to make you better, you know, in your everyday life outside of the gym, you know. So you can actually take your fitness and take what you learn in here, like, for example, an air squat, and you can take it and apply it. I mean, think about how many times you squat in a day, right? Getting up and down out of bed, out of your chair, off the toilet. I mean, next, you know, I mean, I would encourage you to count how many times you squat in a day. All right, Nathan, you just try it. But, you know, functional movements, you know, we teach you how to squat, we teach you how to press, we teach you how to pick things up off the ground. And so they translate to what you do outside of here, you know, in your everyday life. And then it's, you know, intensity is kind of where the results lie, you know. So there has been, it's proven, it's measurable, you know, it's, you know, observable. And then, you know, it's repeatable, you know, so you can test yourself again and see if you've gotten better at doing a certain workout. So, or, you know, a certain movement or a certain weight or whatever it may be. But, yeah, that's kind of what CrossFit, I don't know if that really answered your question. There's a lot more that I could dive into.
And it's so in depth. And I remember when I was first introduced to CrossFit, I started kind of scouring the internet, like, what is this? And I stumbled on a video from Greg Glassman, correct?
Right.
He was the founder, and there's a video kind of describing of him describing why he decided to start it and his philosophy behind it. And he went into how in our healthcare system today, 70% of the illnesses that we're trying to treat are like chronic illnesses that have no actual, like, you can't actually cure them. Well, the only true cure is through nutrition and exercise.
Right.
And he was describing, like, based on that's when he kind of came up with this philosophy of CrossFit, which, as you described, is very functional and all these things. And I think it's so interesting, and it's interesting how, like, that's the philosophy behind it. And then there's these people who are like, as you said, it's dangerous. It's like, he's gonna hurt, but it's grounded in a great philosophy to truly make people better in, like, everything in their life.
Yeah.
But
so you said something in there about health, right? And kind of, I mean, CrossFit is I mean, what we do here is designed to make people healthier. And you're right, 70%, I'm not sure what the actual statistic is or whatever.
It was something around there when he was talking.
You know, a lot of the diseases that are kind of going on in our country, and a lot of the things, and, you know, illnesses that people have are well within their control. They could stop what's happening to them right now, you know. So this chronic disease, you know, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high whatever, you know, body fat, you know, low bone density, etc. Things that are within their control, right? They could move the needle and trend in the right direction if they would exercise and they would eat right. So things that are within their control, right? Controlling what you put into your body and controlling your level of physical activity. And so a big part of what we do here, we run a CrossFit facility here on campus, but a big part of what we do is, you know, trying to educate our, you know, employee population on eating sensibly, right? I mean, you know, trying to eat the right things, keeping it simple, staying away from, you know, refined and processed foods, staying away from sugar and soda. And, you know, exercising, whatever that may be. You know, if it's not CrossFit, if that's not for you, so be it. I mean, we've seen that it's a great program. We've seen that it works. We've seen that it's, you know, effective. We've seen all of those things here with every single type of person, you know. But if that's not for you, then, hey, we want you to do something. You know, we don't want you just to sit around. You know, we want you to move and do something physically active and try to vary it, you know, vary intensities. And that's kind of what we try to do and tie in here with our mission here at Kirby. So
with your experience as the health and wellness director, because that goes beyond just this beautiful CrossFit facility, because you're working with all the employees here at Kirby Medical Center, what has your experience been in that position? Is it difficult? Because where I work now, we work a lot with different wellness directors for different employers, and I hear a lot about the struggles and successes that they have through different programs they try to implement.
Healthcare employees are a tough cookie to crack sometimes. You know, some of the healthcare employee populations are some of the most unhealthy, you know, out there. And that's kind of, you know, I mean, I could get more into that, but I really think here at Kirby we have a pretty healthy employee population. You know, we have an employee wellness program where biannually we test employees on their biomarkers. So we do labs, you know, we do blood draws for them for glucose levels, cholesterol, triglycerides, you know, and then we do body fat percentage, we do waist circumference, and then we also do a functional fitness test as well, where they come out here and they row and they do kettlebell swings and they do sit-ups. And I feel like we have a pretty healthy employee population because we give that incentive to our, it's a monetary incentive that we offer them. But yeah, man, healthcare workers are some of the, it's a tough nut to crack. And I think, you know, I mean, you think about it, a healthy employee is a happy employee. And if healthcare workers could really be healthy and really be on the front lines, imagine the type of service and the type of quality of care that they could provide to their patients if they weren't fighting chronic disease themselves. You know, imagine having a healthy nurse or a healthy doctor coming in and prescribing how to eat and how to exercise, as opposed to someone that's battling with all those same, you know, ailments themselves. Yeah. I mean, coming in and prescribing. I mean, what would you listen to?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
you know, I mean,
it's true. It's because I've been in a situation before. I took a friend of mine to the ER one time, and the doctor who walked in was in all like very heavily obese, and all these things was like describing to her these things she needed to do to remedy her illness. And it was one of those things that unconsciously it kind of clicked in my head. I'm like, yeah. You're saying some things that you yourself aren't living up to.
And I feel like, you know, healthcare workers, tough cookie to crack, probably some of the most unhealthy people out there. But I feel like what we're doing here, I feel like could be a model for other people as well, because we're really trying to impact healthcare employees directly by working on all of those little things that we talked about, nutrition and exercise, and just getting them doing something, you know, is kind of better than, and, you know, we're a tobacco-free campus, you know, and so there's no smoking here. There's no nothing. There's a penalty actually if you smoke or if you have tobacco in your system. And that's another thing that we test for, you know, annually through our employee wellness program. And there's a, you know, monthly fee that you have to pay if you are a smoker or, you know, if you use tobacco. And so those little ways are just some things that we're trying to do to try to improve the health and wellness of our, you know, employee population. And I feel like if more hospitals did that, they'd have a happier, healthier workforce that would be more productive, would have less sick time, would, you know, give better service and better care to their patients. And that's really ultimately, there's always going to be sick people. Yeah. Right. So there's always going to be that. But I think what healthcare, I hope what healthcare and the wave of healthcare is doing is switching from a prescriptive to a preventative type of a mindset. Instead of just a doctor coming in and prescribing medicine, they're actually prescribing exercise and nutrition plans and kind of that behavioral change. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is getting people on the behavioral side of things. You know, our goal here is to change behavior. It's not to prescribe more medication or more medicine.
Have you seen it all with your efforts here and with like fostering the health of the employees that work here? Have you seen that those trends seep into the community at all? Because it kind of needs to start somewhere.
I think so. Yeah. I think a good majority of our population here at CrossFit KMC anyway is from the community. Okay. You know, I'd say here at CrossFit KMC, we probably have about 15% of our employee population who actually participates out here. That is a member of, you know, our box here. The other 85% are community members. So yeah, I definitely say that we're making a difference and it's seeping out. And we do, you know, different things throughout the year to kind of promote a behavioral lifestyle change, you know. So yeah, you know, exercise is a big component of what we do, obviously. But then we have, you know, quarterly nutrition seminars. We do nutrition challenges. You know, we go out and we do different things in the community other than CrossFit. In May, we just got done with our, you know, annual 5K, 10K race, and we had about 40 of our CrossFit members get T-shirts and kind of make it a fun deal for them. And we went out and we ran a 5K on Saturday morning. And then coming up next month, we have our triathlon. So we're encouraging people to, you know, if you don't want to do a full triathlon by yourself, then try to get teams of 3. And one person swim and one person bike and one person run, and try to get involved doing and learning and playing new sports, which is part of the definition of CrossFit anyway. Regularly learn and play new sports and do different things so that you can apply your fitness and your functionality outside of the gym.
So I'm curious, just because you started bringing it up, and I'm definitely excited to talk about it, but this transition that is starting to be seen in places from a prescriptive system to a preventative system, there's so much that needs to happen to kind of do that. And I think you and I kind of agree that we both have a desire for the system to kind of go that way. Where do you see it at right now? Do you see it shifting? Or
I do. I see it shifting in some areas. Yeah, I see it. You know, I'll be totally honest with you, Nathan. I think that a good start is for, you know, it's got to come from the top down. It's got to be from leadership. You know, I've been very fortunate to work here at Kirby and to be with Steve Tenhouse, the CEO here, who I mentioned earlier, you know, started CrossFit with me. He was bought into the system, and that's how he brought it here. If leaders are not bought into the system, and they're not the ones that have the pull or have the authority to impact decisions, then I don't think it's going to happen. I've gotten a couple phone calls, well, a lot of phone calls from other, you know, nurses, therapists, you know, healthcare employees at other hospitals, you know, around the country that have called from, you know, either seeing our video or hearing about what we're doing here. And they've said, hey, man, how did you get that started? And I said, well, there was leadership that was involved. You know, what does your CEO say about it? Or, you know, CFO say about it? Or do you guys have directors that are doing it or that are involved in it? Well, no, Josh, they hate CrossFit. They don't do CrossFit. They think it's bad. And then I just kind of smile and laugh. And I'm like, man, look, that's awesome that you're doing. I'm so excited for you that you have a passion for it, but you got to get leadership involved. And that's really, you know, yes, I see it changing. Yes, I think it's going to happen. I think that hospitals will start to wake up and realize that, you know, preventative healthcare is the wave of the future, especially with healthcare cost and insurance and, you know, just the trend and kind of the way everything's going. People are not going to want to continue to pay these high premiums and these high deductibles for healthcare costs. They're just not. And so I think preventative medicine is going to be the wave of the future. And part of that is going to be exercise. So the biggest thing is you got to get leadership involved.
Yeah.
And if leadership's not involved, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, especially trying to do what we're doing in a healthcare facility like this.
So I guess part of that is, as you said, you're contacted by a lot of like other healthcare professionals and just a lot of people. And the more people that are passionate about it, that can kind of slowly start seeping into to that leadership people that we're talking about. But I wanted to ask you, and I told you about this before, but part of that is like marketing and getting society kind of hyped about these different type of fitness things. And I was watching the other day Fittest on Earth, which is all about, it's a Netflix movie. There's two of them about the CrossFit games.
Right.
What do you think about like competing? Because have you competed before at all?
I have. I actually competed Saturday. They had a local competition at a water park.
Wow.
And you know, about 45 minutes away from here, so we had to get, you know, in the lazy river and the wave pool, and we did a bunch of kettlebell work outside of the, you know, so we did a CrossFit competition. It was a 3-person deal on Saturday, 2 days ago.
Dang.
And so I do it for fun. I don't do it to be super competitive. I do it because of the community, like I mentioned earlier. It's so much fun, and it's so you go to these local competitions and you get to see your friends, you know, from other gyms, and you get to see your buddies, and you get to hang out all day with like-minded people that enjoy CrossFit and that enjoy your company, and so that's just a fun. But what you saw on Netflix or see kind of, you know, on, you know, ESPN last year, you know, ESPN2 reruns, right? You see the CrossFit Games. That's the professional sport of CrossFit. And I call it professional sport because that's kind of the way it's been going the last few years. These guys are professional athletes. They're living and conducting themselves as such. That is their job, is to qualify and make it to the CrossFit Games, and that is what they train for year round. And so, yeah, the documentaries that come out are awesome. They're I mean, it's fantastic, dude. I mean, it's an amazing movie. I mean, that's what it is. And it really highlights that aspect of CrossFit, you know, which is the sport of CrossFit. You know, the CrossFit Games is the showcase in the sport of CrossFit. It's to find the fittest person on earth.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
And I'm not gonna lie. I was supposed to be doing some of my homework, and I procrastinated. I watched it, and it was late at night, and it literally made me want to get out of my.
It fires you up, doesn't it?
It literally makes you just want to run through a wall. It is one of the most like motivating. You just want to go and work out.
So
right
what that
after.
is some people go that way and they're fired up, and some people go the totally opposite way when they see the sport of CrossFit and they see the games, you know, on TV or Netflix or whatever. They either love it or they're like, I could never do that. There's no way, and they get, you know, intimidated by it. And so what we try to relay here is that what we do, and really what good CrossFit affiliates, you know, across the country and the world do, is not what you see on TV. You know, a lot of what we do is we cater to the average, everyday, you know, individual who's just looking to improve their health and fitness. And that's really, I mean, that's what we do here. We don't have any games qualifiers here. We've got phenomenal athletes here, and that's everybody, because everybody can be an athlete. My, you know, grandmas that are here in the class, they can be as much of an athlete as my 20-year-old that's in the class that's just getting out of college athletics. You know, so we really encourage people to view themselves and see themselves as, you know, athletes, and to just do their very best. But we also encourage, and we also make it very clear that if you're wanting to pursue competition outside of like a fun local competition on the weekends and be like a, you know, weekend warrior, if you're wanting to pursue a professional sport like CrossFit and be a professional athlete, there's a lot more that goes into that than what we do here, you know, just in the normal affiliate.
Yeah, because I was really...
We don't train to go to the CrossFit Games here. We train to be healthy.
Yeah, it was fun. I was in the beginning of the movie when, for like the first 5 minutes, they kind of talk about the philosophy behind CrossFit, and they talk about how it is for everybody, and they talk about what it actually is, and they show, like, you know, people of all ages doing it.
Right.
And then right after they do that, it jumps right into these beasts who, as you said, are professional athletes, and you're just like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And for a second you got to remember, like, no, this is something like that everybody can do, but at the same time, like the rest of this movie, it's these, because they train, like, as they admitted, because I think the game started in like 2007 or something. I think it
was, yeah.
It was 6 or 7, because they said it was
2007. Anybody could sign up. Anybody could go to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very much a backyard barbecue feel. 2008 was even bigger. 2009, you started to see the sport getting bigger, more legitimized. There started to be a qualification process, and then finally in 2010 is when they kind of standardized it and started with the open and the regional level, and then finally the games. So there was a qualification process that was put into place to kind of narrow down the amount of competitors that were getting into it, and now you see what it is today with the open, the online competition, and the regionals and the CrossFit Games. And I've been fortunate to coach several Masters athletes to the games.
Oh, wow.
And they were in the 60-plus division, which was pretty cool, seeing that aspect of CrossFit as well. And those Masters athletes are phenomenal, man. They're beast. And so getting to go and see that aspect of the sport of CrossFit has been really unique, and it's been really fun. But some of my proudest moments as a coach have not been coaching games athletes. It's been coaching that grandma that was nervous, or that was, you know, couldn't even get down in the bottom of a squat without, you know, hip pain or knee pain or whatever, and working with that individual and seeing them get better over time and get stronger and get healthier and get off medication. That's really been the most satisfying and fulfilling part for me as a coach.
And I love that you bring it back to that, because as you described earlier, like, CrossFit is it's all about mobility and movement, and it's a lot of functional exercises. And like you were talking about how we squat so much every day, and I always joke around with people, when I get older, my exercise is literally just gonna be like lay on the ground and get up, because as like work, like volunteering in nursing homes and through like work experience, so much of things that happen to people as you get older and you stop being active, stop working out, it's these, you fall, and like how many times do you hear like a family member fell and they couldn't get up, and it's like an awful situation. And it's like things like this, staying active, being in a community where, you know, 65-plus-year-olds can get together and do some mobility work to be able to get up and be functional. I think that's amazing. Like, that's one thing that I love about things like CrossFit, that build communities and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let me give you an example of one of our members. She's an older lady, Her name is, well, yeah, we'll just call her Sally. All right. And she came in. She was post-op hip surgery, and she was having a lot of pain. She had limited mobility, just had a lot of issues going on with her strength, range of motion. Just couldn't even get down anywhere close to a squat. Couldn't lunge, couldn't do anything. Right? She was pretty limited in her movement. And she's been with me for about a year now. And she's coming in. She came in last week. I can specifically remember last week because we did there was a workout that involved. What did we do? Oh, it was run, and then it was pull-ups, push-ups, and squats. Mm-hmm. And it was like 20 rounds of this, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 squats, which is a format for a girl named workout that we do called Cindy. But we threw some runs in there with the pull-ups, push-ups, and squats, and it was everything except for the last mile run on the workout that we do in CrossFit called Murph, right? Have you heard of that workout, Murph? Yeah. So last week we basically did Murph without brutal. The last mile, and she came in and she completed Murph without the last mile run. And she's in her 70s, and she has limited mobility, or she did have it, right? And now she's gotten stronger, she's gotten healthier, she's gotten tougher, she's gotten way better at, namely, her squat. And she came in and she completed almost the entire Murph as an individual. Now, granted, it took her a little bit longer, but she came in and she did it.
Yeah.
And so there's story after story like that. I mean, not of just our elderly population in here, but of people that come in and they're just like, look, I've got a family. I've got 2 kids. I just want to be healthy. I just want to move again. I'm a former whatever athlete. Mm-hmm. There's story after story after story of people who come in here that have had their life transformed by CrossFit and by just what we're doing here with health and wellness. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you
that's awesome.
About Sally.
Yeah, right? Sally. No, that's incredible. And the first time I heard about Murph was from the original Fitness Center that's on Netflix. And
you saw at the games event.
At the games, and it destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
And there were people like passing out and almost getting taken to the hospital from it. And I'm picturing Sally over here kicking ass at it.
Sally whooped it, man. She came in and she dominated that workout. It was awesome to watch. And that's the type of stuff, really, honestly, Nathan, that gets me fired up. Mm-hmm. It's not. I mean, those guys that you see on TV, they're phenomenal athletes. I really enjoy watching them. It's great. It's fun to watch. It's obviously CrossFit can be a spectator sport from that aspect, but man, I tell you what, coaching and helping people is really what I'm passionate about, and seeing Sally come in and do that just fired me up. I mean, that's what gets me going, is seeing people improve every single day and getting people better and making just healthier, more functional human beings, and so I guess it goes back to the whole reason I got into CrossFit, into healthcare, was I saw a better opportunity to help people than what was going to be available to me in like the strength and conditioning industry. Mm-hmm. and just going into like college weight rooms and helping athletes and things like that. Those guys are already pretty decent and pretty strong and pretty good, aside from their technique and working with them on that type of stuff and programs and things like that. I mean, but what we do in here is, I mean, you're getting people that have never exercised before at all.
Yeah.
And you're just showing them the value of it every single day by results-based fitness. I mean, they're getting better and they're seeing it and they're like, oh my God, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what fires me up, dude.
All these questions fire in my head. Because you just referenced it, but for people who are thinking about possibly looking at CrossFit as their mode of exercise, what just quick suggestion on like how to get involved with it?
Yeah. So the best piece of advice I could give somebody that's maybe curious or interested about it is to, obviously do a little bit of research on it, read about it, watch some videos on it, learn about it a little bit, but then you got to go. I mean, I would encourage anybody that's listening to this that maybe is, apprehensive about CrossFit, I would encourage them to go to a CrossFit affiliate and to find out if that's going to be, and to find one that's going to be a right fit for you. I've heard story after story of people going into a CrossFit affiliate and kind of finding their niche, right? And I understand that not every gym is for everybody, right? That's why they have so many different ones, right? There's a lot of options out there, especially now. Wherever you're at, there's a CrossFit gym, a stone's throw away. I mean, CrossFit's pretty well known now. It's pretty much everywhere. It's not too hard to find a CrossFit affiliate. So if you're interested in doing CrossFit, that's what I would encourage you to do, is get started in a CrossFit affiliate, support local CrossFit affiliates, and go check one out. Price is a kind of a or it's kind of a stopper for a lot of people. You know, it's kind of a roadblock for a lot of people, but I feel like, you know, you find time, you know, and I'm not picking on you here at all.
Oh,
but
no,
it's,
I totally understand.
you know, you find time for what's important to you, and it's an investment into your health. It really is, you know. So paying that $100 or paying that $120 a month or whatever to go into exercise and to do CrossFit and basically get one-on-one coaching and personal training and be a part of that awesome community. I mean, that's an investment, man. That's worth it to go and to do those things, you know. And or I think people will find out that it's worth it if they stick with it long enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I took two free weeks of CrossFit and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And as you kind of referenced, like I just as a college student, I couldn't afford it, and like at our university we get a free gym. So I was like, can't wait in it. But then like it's always something that I love, switching up my workout and doing different things. And that's one thing I love about CrossFit is the variability of it and how it spans all different type of things. And there's always people there, and there's classes all different times of day, and I love it. But something I want to kind of flow into is, so you got in this field definitely motivated by where medicine was going and the preventative side of it. Personally, where do you see yourself kind of moving as like CrossFit KMC keeps building? Like, what are some things that you're passionate about that you want to like keep building up upon?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, you know, I'm very passionate about helping people, and I just want to see people reach their potential. That's part of the coach in me, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to get into this, is I thought it was going to have the biggest impact on people. And so as we continue with CrossFit KMC and as we continue with, you know, the health and wellness initiatives and things that we're doing here with our, you know, employee population, I see us kind of expanding that to the community and kind of getting the community more involved with what we're doing out here and kind of some health related, you know, initiatives within the community. And then also we've started taking our concepts and our ideas to local surrounding businesses. And trying to make their, so for example, we have an account right now with a grain company, and we have drawn their labs, we have taken their body fat, we have taken their, you know, waist circumference, we've done their blood pressure, we've done all these things, we've done a fitness test with them, we've packed rowers up in the back of a truck, we packed kettlebells in, we packed ab mats up, we've gone to their locations and we cleared out tables in a conference room. We cleared out chairs and we set up our own little makeshift CrossFit gym in their conference room, and we did functional fitness tests there. They were rowing, they were kettlebell swing, and we did blood pressure there, we did body fat testing, we did everything there on site. So we're trying to extend our services and take what we know to work here and expand that out and offer that to others as well, and try to improve productivity and satisfaction and, you know, all these things for companies and for their, you know, workforce. And we feel like that's going to really trickle down again from the top. The grain company that we're with, their CFO contacted us because they were curious about it. So I think it's just a lot of, in the future, moving forward, I think what we do with that is we get our name out there, we knock on doors, we hustle, we try to get in front of as many people as we can, and we try to take our message and take our value that we have built into this program out, and we try to share that with others. And that's really how we're going to help people, is continuing to just evolve into that larger scale kind of, you know. Yeah. And so with these companies that we're working with, we're doing, you know, quarterly education as well. You know, so we're staying tapped in with them. We're doing, you know, video conferencing, we're doing quarterly education, we're checking up on them. We're making sure that they're staying on and that they're doing something, you know. So we send out, you know, exercise recommendations. We send out quarterly education videos. Like the last video that we sent out was on how to cut out soda out of your life. You know, basically how to stop drinking soda and the harmful effects of soda and sugar, etc. And so I did a whole video series on it. I did a whole video on here's why you don't need to drink soda. And a good majority here in, you know, Illinois, you know, central Illinois, Mountain Dew and Coke and Dr. Pepper and whatever.
Yeah.
It's a very soda. I mean, there's a lot of people that drink soda.
And I know
everybody drinks soda.
And I know personally from experience, a lot of people that drive, and a lot of people who drive, and a lot of people that do farm work. And we're here, is this considered Southern Illinois, Central Illinois?
This is Central Illinois.
Central Illinois, and a lot of people that are involved in those things, since when they're sitting all day, they're massive, big gulp. They refill every single day, and a lot of people that I worked with when I worked as EMT, every single day. Yeah. And it's holy.
People don't realize they're just. I mean, they're. So, like we talked about in the first part of the show, things that you can control, what you're putting into your body. That's something that's within your control. Yeah. Is drinking soda or not, and sugar and soda and things like that. It's more addictive than heroin. I mean, it is. Yeah. It is. It's bad. I mean, people have a hard time getting off of that stuff. So, our goal and our objective is to educate, inform, and to ultimately motivate these people to make a lifestyle or behavioral change. And that's really where it's going to start. It's not a fad program. It's not a quick fix. It's a lifestyle. And that's what CrossFit is, and that's what we try to preach with health and wellness here, and that's what really I think the healthcare industry as a whole would, they'd be a lot better off if they would do that. And kind of have that mindset, instead of the prescriptive nature.
And something that I was asked the other day, and somebody was like, well, how would you, because we were talking about all these things going on in Washington, and they're like, well, how would you fix the problem? And I was like, well, there's no easy answer. There's no quick fix. And ultimately it comes down to a lot of people doing exactly what you're doing here. And it comes down to the community action of people truly going out, as you said, boots on the ground, and going, talking to those companies and working with the actual community. And the companies is a great way to access large amounts of people, because that's what centralizes people and is kind of the foundation of the communities, are these large employers in the area. But it's ultimately, it's a lot of people doing that, and that's what's slowly moving the needle. Are you seeing here in the U.S. kind of that needle moving?
I think it is in certain pockets, in certain areas, for sure. I don't see it. I don't know, man. I think we're in a lot of trouble. I really do. I think we are in big trouble here in the United States. I think type 2 diabetes is rampant. I think chronic disease is rampant. I think there's a lot of health issues that are going on right now, and that's why I kind of mentioned earlier about healthcare costs. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I think our healthcare system is broken. I think we're in for a rude awakening, and I think the people that are taking preventative measures to get more healthy and take care of themselves before it's too late, they're going to be on the right side of this thing, because I think that the people that are unhealthy and the people that are depending on the healthcare system for their medicine and for all these other things, I think they're they're going to end up being in a world of hurt. And again, that goes back to lifestyle habits and making behavioral changes. I mean, that's, if people don't wake up and start making some changes with what they're putting into their body and how they're exercising or their level of physical activity, they're going to it's going to be a lot harder for them to overcome chronic disease or metabolic syndrome or what, you name it. We're killing ourselves here in America with the food we're putting into our body and with the lack of physical activity. It's real simple. Exercise and eat right and you'll be fine. And it doesn't have to be, people think that working out and that exercise has to be this big elaborate fancy program or it has to be this big deal. It really doesn't. It's simple. And I tell people that all the time. I'm like, you just have to do something. Even if that means going out on our wellness trail and hitting a lap or two every day you come into work, hitting a mile or two, and when you go back inside, don't drink your soda. Trade it out for water. Or instead of eating Pop-Tarts for breakfast, how about you eat some fruit or whatever it may be. Just making little changes and just doing something. Gosh, man, if you do it consistently, it's going to make a huge difference.
I was listening, or I forget if I was listening or reading something the other day about the blue zones in the world, where it's the areas where people live, a bunch of people live over 100, and they did a bunch of studies to figure out why. They were looking for these magic bullets of oh, this is why people live longer here, this is why blah blah blah. And there are a couple things they found that they thought were, but the only thing that they consistently found in all these places were these communities where all these people live very long had daily intentional movement, like daily movement.
Imagine that.
Where they had to like walk every day to go get water and come back. And so it was like every day they had to walk 3-4 miles or something where it was intentional and it was consistent and it was every single day. And it was something that it kind of makes you think. It's like that's
you don't see these type of issues in third world countries. You don't see chronic disease. You don't see metabolic syndrome. You don't see the same type of disease that's happening here in the U.S. You see people, obviously with you just don't see it. They like you said, they don't lead a sedentary lifestyle. It's you're 100% right. That, and then I think a lot of reason why people live longer is what they're eating too. There's actually some studies that plant-based diets are a little bit healthier and more beneficial, and people that it was like Seventh-day Adventist or something eating more of a plant-based diet were actually living longer. It's big among like the Seventh-day Adventist group.
I don't know what that.
It's a religious organization.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Mormons or the Seventh-day Adventist or Methodist or whatever.
Gotcha.
It's and they were living a really long time because they were eating plant-based diets.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that just leaves a bunch more like questions about how we're overloaded with all this information now, and people are. I see so much where people see all these conflicting things and all this information. This is good. This is good. This is good. And this is bad. This is bad. And then people just are not doing anything.
Well, yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. All right. That's something that we can talk about here for a little bit. I think that, there is so much information, and people are inundated with so much information on what to eat, what not to eat. Is an egg good for you? No, an egg's bad for you. Oh, it gives you high cholesterol. No, the yolk is fine to eat. Just for example, right? Just the egg alone is so much controversy there. Oh, it's the perfect protein, whatever. So here's what I tell people. I said, look, you need to do the research on your own. You need to find out what's right for you. You need to have your labs drawn, right? And see how food affects your body, because everybody's different, right? And there's not a one size fits all solution for every single person. What works for you might not work for me, and I think people need to take some personal responsibility and kind of figure out what that's going to be for them. And there is so much information, but I would encourage anybody that's listening to this that maybe is in that same boat of like, well, there's so much out there, so screw it, I'm just not going to do anything. Right? I'm just going to keep living my life the way I want to, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the consequences. I would encourage you not to do that. I would encourage you to take some personal responsibility and find out what's right for you, and I would encourage you to find out how your body reacts to certain things. Me personally, I naturally, like in my family, my grandpa, my dad have high cholesterol, so I've got to watch what I put into my body so that I don't have high cholesterol. I mean, that's just something, for example, that I have to watch. Even though I exercise, even though I eat sensibly and I eat right, I still have to watch for those things and kind of what I'm putting into my body. Yeah. And I check that periodically through lab work and through having my blood drawn. And that's a pretty accurate way to test it.
Because since you do this a lot with the blood work and getting all that stuff checked out, I'm going to kind of be selfish here and ask for myself, but like people who are younger, how would people go about doing that? Who would they seek out, and what's the best method to kind of get blood work drawn?
Yeah, that's great. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. We just do it through the lab here at the hospital, and most outpatient lab facilities are pretty inexpensive, to go in to have your blood drawn. There's a lot of places like a Quest, diagnostics or whatever. There's a lot of places where you can go and you can have your blood drawn for pretty inexpensive. Obviously a doctor's visit is probably going to cost you more if you're going in, you're having your, labs drawn in a doctor's office. But there's a lot of, sorry, the flies are getting me. There's a lot of outpatient labs out there that are pretty inexpensive for you to go and just have your blood drawn. $50 to $100, not too bad if you're doing it, once every 6 months or 12 months or whatever. It's not too bad. We only charge, for our members here, we charge $25 for them to have their labs drawn. No, it's extremely affordable. It's extremely cheap, and we want our members and our employees to have that accessible to them as early and as often as they want. And so that's, I would seek out outpatient areas and outpatient labs that are, available, as opposed to maybe going to your physician just simply based on cost alone. If you're a younger person and maybe that's not covered, or maybe you can't afford it, or whatever the case may be.
Okay. Well, I got just a few more questions.
Sure.
All right.
I got all the time in the world, man.
Sweet. Well, the first question I want to ask is just kind of, is there anything that, like any question that I haven't asked that maybe you thought of or you want to talk about?
Nathan, you've been pretty thorough, man. I don't know. I mean, you've been pretty thorough with everything that we do here. Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say is, so we're talking about the future of healthcare, and we're talking about, I think if more healthcare systems could get involved and do things kind of the way that we're doing, with kind of that lifestyle approach, as opposed to just doing wellness initiatives without any talk of nutrition, any talk of personal responsibility, anything like that, and they're just throwing out programs. I think programs are destined to fail, but I think if you incorporate a program that's tied to a behavioral change, or tied to a lifestyle change, or tied to some personal responsibility. We charge our hospital employees to come and be members out here. It's not a free program for them.
Oh, wow.
Because we want them to have some skin in the game, and we want them to have some investment and some personal investment into what they're doing, into their health. So it's not a freebie out here. I think a lot of places probably do free initiatives, and if you achieve it too easily, you'll probably value it too lightly. So you have to have some skin in the game, and I think that's where a lot of wellness and healthcare initiatives are failing, is they need to get their healthcare populations, employee populations, with some skin in the game and involved. And there's consequences if you're not going to do it, or not be a part of the team. And again, that goes back to culture, and that goes back to leadership, and that's why we're so fortunate here to have such a strong leadership team that's involved in what we do. Because if we didn't, then this probably wouldn't be happening. But
and you might have answered this question kind of with that one, but if you had the power to kind of like to change one thing, like you had ultimate power and you change one thing currently about our healthcare system, what would that be and why? You could definitely think about it, because I can edit it.
Yeah, I figured. If I could change one thing about our healthcare system, it would be, I don't know if I'm using the correct words or anything.
You could take the question however you want.
Okay. So my thing is the gosh, I don't even know how to put it, Nathan. I don't know. We may just have to cut this whole thing out here. Cut this whole part out of the interview here. But
we can do it. But
I'm not. Yeah, I'm really just drawing a blank right now. It goes back. For me, it's always about that personal responsibility. So I guess if people don't want to pay the high healthcare cost, then they need to take some responsibility in their health, and they need to focus on behavioral changes and lifestyle changes, and exercise, and what they're putting into their body, so that they don't have to go and visit their doctor so much, because they're not sick and they're not fighting chronic disease, and they're not having to pay these astronomical healthcare costs. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I don't think it necessarily reflects a lot of healthcare organizations. They'd probably say, no, we want sick people, and that's what hospitals want. They want sick people. Look, there's always going to be sick people, but how cool would it be if hospitals and healthcare organizations started actually promoting a preventative form of treatment, or preventative care? I think it would just be amazing. And that's one thing that I would like to see change in the healthcare industry, is less prescriptive, more preventative. And I think regardless, because people always have a choice. So I think you're always going to have those people that make the choice to just not do it at all. You're always going to have that percentage of the population that just will not adhere. They won't comply. They won't do it. They won't put their health as a priority. And I think we're going to see that from now until the end of time. But you're going to have those people too that are really going to get invested, and you're going to have those people that are really tired of paying these high healthcare costs. They're tired of being sick. They're tired of chronic disease, and I think they're going to take the ball and they're going to run with it, and they're they're going to take some personal responsibility, and they're going to be the ones that end up successful, and those people are going to be the ones that are going to come out on top. Ultimately, I think.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Like I want to follow that answer up with a question: how, when, like I talk a lot about an important thing we need to do in healthcare is promote like personal responsibility,
right.
And there's a large group, maybe not a large group percentage of people, but there's a loud percentage of people who, when you say that, reject it very quickly and say that's a bad mindset to have because XYZ reasons, and there's hard. It's hard. Some people can't, and there's a lot of valid reasons. There's a lot of valid reasons to take a step back and like understand their perspective. But what would you say to somebody who right away rejected kind of what you said about taking the most important thing is one of the most important things is taking on personal responsibility?
Yeah. Well, what's that saying? The beatings will continue until morale improves, right? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I like it though.
You just keep, it's almost like killing them with kindness. You just have to be very sensitive to those people, and you have to continue to encourage them. I mean, we see it all the time. Mm-hmm. There's, I see people every single day that do not want to take personal responsibility into their health. I do. I see it all the time. Whether it's, again, we have an extremely healthy employee population here at Kirby. We're very fortunate, but you see it all the time with healthcare workers. We see it, all the time when you go to the grocery store. Geez, I mean, go to Walmart, any time during the day, and you'll see, a population that is not taking personal responsibility for their health and well-being. And wrote me back in here. What was the time?
How would you respond to people who reject taking on personal responsibility?
So killing them with kindness. Continue to encourage those people that, hey, you can do this. It is for you if you want it. Mm-hmm. It's right here just waiting for you. It's accessible. It's easy. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to watch what you put in your body, and you have to exercise. Yeah. And you have to do something and find something that you love to do. If it's not CrossFit, then go ride your bike. If it's not riding your bike, then go for a walk. If it's not that, then do yard work. Whatever it is for you, you got to get out and you got to do something. Mm-hmm. And so for those people that reject it and they won't take personal responsibility, I continue to do that and realize that there's only so much I can do. A younger me would have beat myself up about it and been really mad and really frustrated and almost kind of resented that person for not wanting to take personal responsibility. But over the years, I've learned that, you just got to be patient with people, and eventually they'll come around. Some of them will come around, and some of them won't ever come around, and that's fine. But, leading by example and showing them that, hey, this isn't as bad as you might think it is. Mm-hmm. It's not as hard as you might think it is. Initially, it may be, but, sustainability is not too hard. You just got to do it. You got to do it consistently. And so that's what I would say to somebody that's having trouble taking on personal responsibility is you need to try it. Mm-hmm. Try it, try to be consistent with it, set a goal, and just go for it.
Yeah. Well, I have one final question.
Sure, man.
And
yeah.
It's been great. And before I ask it, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me come and sit down and sharing with everybody your experiences and everything about CrossFit and hear about CrossFit KMC. And
my pleasure.
It's been great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, really, I'm humbled that you came to us and came to CrossFit KMC. That's kind of cool that you chose to come interview us.
I personally wanted to, once I saw it, I really wanted to come check it out. So I'm happy I got to. And then I'm also going to in the show notes and everything, I'm going to link some videos and stuff about CrossFit KMC and stuff. But is there anything else this isn't the final question, but anything you want to share, just places that people could check stuff out or get more information?
Yeah, so, people are always welcome to check us out on our website, crossfitkmc.org. You can check us out on Facebook. Find us on Facebook at CrossFit KMC. We're on Instagram, too. Same thing, CrossFit KMC. And that's where we post a lot of information. We post, it's got information on our website, obviously, about our classes and kind of what we're about and, all those things. And then we just post, updates for social things or health-related things on our Facebook and Instagram, and There's a lot of member stuff that goes on there as well.
Sweet.
We post the workout there every night as well. So we have it on the website, and we have it available on Facebook for our members to see every night too. So, that's something special we try to do for everybody, is try to have it up the night before so they can kind of get a game plan together.
Nice.
Coming in. But yeah, that's how you find us. And obviously we're here in little old Monticello, Illinois, but man, we're making a huge splash and making a huge impact on people's lives here. So it's exciting, man.
Love it. I'm
fired up.
So the final question is, because a lot of people listening, as I kind of said before, will be future health professionals and looking to do a lot of things that like you've done and succeeded in. What would just be some sort of advice for them? Yeah,
man. So healthcare and working in the healthcare industry is all about people, and it's all about the level of care that you provide. And so that's what I would say to anyone that's interested in getting involved in a healthcare profession needs to care. They really do need to care about people, and they need to be very service oriented, and they need to put themselves in the shoes of their either patients or clients or whoever they're dealing with. Put yourself in their shoes, and how would what you say, how would that make you feel? How would you like to be treated, and treat somebody that way? And it's that way, we see it all the time. We had have you ever had an experience, Nathan, where you've gone into either a hospital or had a, doctor's visit or whatever, and you've had a poor experience with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't forget those type of things, but, so a lot of times going into a healthcare organization or going to a CrossFit, affiliate brings, kind of a, intimidation factor. People are nervous about going to hospitals or to doctors, because usually they're not going just to say, hey, how you doing? They're going because something's wrong and they're sick. So, and with CrossFit, there's kind of an, intimidation factor just from this, stigma around CrossFit that, there's, injury associated with it. It's too intense, it can be intimidating, whatever. So I think the way that we approach, and anybody that's wanting to work with people or be involved in healthcare, you have to care, and you have to be service oriented. If that's CrossFit, and that's another reason why CrossFit is so awesome, is there's so many phenomenal CrossFit affiliates out there with phenomenal coaches who care about people. And that's really where the success lies, is in people. And they care about their members, they care about people, they care about making people better. And that's all I'm trying to do. And that's all that anybody that gets involved in healthcare should really try to do. It's not about the money, it's not about that. It's about caring for people. And it's about having a service-oriented mindset where I'm going to make this the best part of your day. If it's here at CrossFit, I'm going to make this the best hour of your day and the best class of your day. If you're going for, if you're a nurse or if you're an aide or if you're a doctor or whatever, you should want to go into each visit and make that the best hour or the best 20 minutes or whatever of your patient's day. And you're looking to improve people's lives just through interaction that way. Don't get into healthcare thinking that, oh man, I'm going to make a ton of money off of this. And those type of people don't last in healthcare. They really don't. It's hard. It's a hard profession. It's draining. It's challenging, but man, it is so rewarding. And it really does. I mean, the reason I got involved with healthcare is you get to be around people and you get to help people, and it's rewarding from that aspect of it. Okay. So that anybody that's interested in getting involved in healthcare, that's what I would say. You need to care, and you need to have a service-oriented mindset, because that's what's going to help you. That's what's going to make you last, and that's what's going to help you stick around.
Perfect. Josh, thank you.
Nathan, thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, there you go, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. There's a bunch of links in the show notes if you want to get more information on CrossFit KMC, watch some videos, also a video link to the video version of this podcast. You can also get all that information at wearethefuturehealthcare.com. Also, one last note, don't forget you can be entered to win one of two $50 Amazon gift cards if you leave a 5-star review before the beginning of September here on the Future Healthcare Podcast. I just want to again say thank you all for taking the time listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget that this conversation doesn't end here. Let's continue that. Continue on Twitter, Instagram, join the Facebook group so we can talk more about these topics, and let's start making a difference in our healthcare system. So with all that said, I just want you to go and have a phenomenal day now, and I will be here next time at the Future of Healthcare Podcast.